start. And if we didn't get involved, Los Angeles would be burning down right now, just like the houses burned down.
Are you concerned about anything that could go wrong by having the military there? They're trained for different purposes.
No, it can only go right. By having the military, it de-escalates. I mean, that was the only way. These people are agitators. They're troublemakers. I believe many of them are paid. I watched them breaking up the sidewalks with a big hammer, handing pieces of the concrete to other people.
Who do you think is paying for that?
Somebody's paying for it. Thank you.
You might have something to do with it.
Thank you for saying that. Somebody's paying for that. I watched total professionals. He's banging the curb, banging the granite, banging the concrete. And he had a whole group of people. They lined up like totally professional, grabbed the big chunks, and they dropped it on the soldiers. They dropped it on the Los Angeles police. These are insurrectionists, they're agitators, or troublemakers. At a minimum, they're troublemakers.
Mr. President, he did not speak to you a day ago, as you said, in the Oval Office earlier. What's your response to that?
Well, I gave him, it wasn't a day ago, it was a little longer than that, and I presented the phone conversation to Fox News, John Roberts and Molly Line at Fox News, because they were the ones that said it. And we actually spent 16-point-something minutes on the phone, and I told him he's got to get his act together because you're going to have some bad times in Los Angeles if he doesn't. We had a pleasant conversation. The proof was from the phone company. It was from the phone company. So I spoke to him at a certain time. I'm sure you all saw it. You saw it. You saw. But why would you ask me that question if you saw it? You know, I mean, he asked me a question. And then he says, yeah, I saw that you spoke to him. Yeah, I spoke to him for over 16 minutes. I spoke to him for over 16 minutes. And I told him to get his act together, but he hasn't been able to do that. I mean, the man, really, we could have a great, you know, we have an Olympics coming up. We have to put the right foot forward. We have to do a job. We have a lot of people all over the world watching Los Angeles. We've got the Olympics, and we have this guy allowing this to happen. Let me tell you, when you watch these agitators break up concrete and hand it out to people as they stood on line to get it, these have to be paid troublemakers.
Mr. President, you appear to say that the governor and the mayor paid them. Do you believe that the governor and the mayor paid the agitators?
No, I don't say the governor and the mayor. I said somebody's paying them, I think. And if they're not, they're just troublemakers. What can I tell you? But I believe somebody's paying them. I mean, I've never seen somebody with a big hammer so professional. Now, they took the bricks away from them. So they say, how do we get in? The military did. How do we get in, and what do we do? They said, I have an idea. Let's break up the concrete, and that's even better than bricks, and that's what happened.
Yeah, you just witnessed an amazing spectacle, a flex on our military. What impressed you the most?
I think the total love for the military. I mean, I was with the generals. They're explaining the different maneuvers. And the love they have for the Army and the military is beautiful. They're really great people. And I've never seen anything quite like that. I don't think any other president has either. You know, they really put on a good show. I asked them, did you do that for Biden? They said no, they didn't do it for Biden. I wonder why. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know this. As long as we have the military there, the protests won't mean anything. Last night, if we weren't there, they would have burned down the city. But they did not a lot of damage other than they broke up a lot of concrete looking for weapons. You know, those are weapons. If that hits somebody in the head, the person's dead. You know that, right?
Yes, what do you mean by a very heavy force will be met with the protest?
Oh, the military will be very heavy force. I'm very proud to tell you that. They might as well turn around. They're wasting their time. Some of them will end up in jail for a long period of time. They used weapons. That concrete is a weapon, a dangerous weapon. Worse than a brick, heavier than a brick. And they were dropping it off bridges and throwing it at soldiers and police. They're not doing that. You know, I went in my first term, I waited for governors to call in the military, and they didn't want to do it. And I watched Minneapolis and other places burn for a long time. And I said, when are you going to call? When are you going to call? And I said, if I ever do this again, if they're not responsive at the beginning, not at the end. You know, I called in the military in Minneapolis, but it was 7 days. I waited for this guy, the same guy that ran for vice president, who's a very dumb person. He's a low IQ individual, like many Democrats are. But I waited for him to call him in. I kept waiting. I'd call him every day. I'd say, when are you calling him? And finally I called him because I'm not going to wait. They were destroying the city. The whole city was burning down. Horrible. Okay.
A judge has set a hearing for Thursday from Governor Newsom's lawsuit. Do you think your administration will be successful Thursday for the hearing?
Well, even Senator Fetterman said very strongly that this is horrible what they're doing and that the Democrats are making a big mistake by not talking about it. And I agree with that. I think this is in a league with, and maybe even worse in a true sense, what they're doing is now worse than men playing in women's sports. I think that's a ridiculous thing. Open borders, you take a look at open borders. Open borders is what caused it. Many of these people, many of them, not all of them I guess, but many of them came through the Joe Biden stupid open borders. Really sad to watch. It's very sad to watch this being our country. Now, with our National Guard and our, fairly low number of Marines, they had no chance. And if you look, they were a little bit tougher than the police. Did you notice that? The police are trained not to do it. They're really trained. They're under tremendous political constraint. They're great police. I know the police in L.A. I know the force. They're very good, but they're not allowed to do their thing. They're just not allowed. They're restricted by radical left politicians who are pretty shameful.
As Commander-in-Chief, sir, what rules of engagement do you want for the military? What limitations?
A very simple rule of engagement. If they're dangerous, if they're throwing concrete or bricks, if they're spitting in the face of the police or whoever's in front of them, if they're punching people, if they're doing all of the things that you see done for the last 3 nights, that I would say is engagement. We need to keep our city straight. I want to save Los Angeles. And Newsom is totally incompetent. He's not going to do it. Look at the fires he had. He had fires where half the city, it seemed, burned down. What was it, 25,000 houses, all because he wouldn't take water. I released the water from the Pacific Northwest, and it came down millions of gallons a day. And it's right there right now. They'd like to send it back. There's something wrong with these people. All I want in terms of engagement, I just want to see peace. If there's peace, we get out. If there's even a chance of no peace, we stay there until there's peace. And a lot of people are being arrested. The rioters, or whatever you want to call them, they better know. A lot of people are being arrested. They're going to be in jail for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Right,